So you've already tried gluten-free diets, cutting out carbs, cutting out fizzy drinks, doing ab workouts every day, lemon water and coconut oil in your coffee, and you still can't get any weight off, or at least not a significant amount compared to all the effort that you've been putting. And that's because all of those things don't actually do anything specifically to burn fat or lose weight. And I know how frustrating it is when you're trying so hard and you're putting so much effort and you end up feeling like you're just stuck and that nothing works and that maybe something's wrong with your metabolism and maybe your body it just isn't meant to be lean. And there's so much contradicting advice on the web nowadays that it feels so overwhelming. You don't even know who to listen to anymore. So take a deep breath, because I'm going to simplify for you the one scientific principle behind weight loss to explain to you exactly what works and what's just wasting your time for no reason. And then I'm going to give you 3 realistic, simple, easy to follow steps that you can take today to start losing body fat without guesswork, while still eating some of the things that you love and without doing a ton of cardio. Welcome to my channel, where I share actionable tips on how to transform your body based on science. Let's dive right into the concept of energy balance, because fat is actually a storage of energy in our bodies. We measure this energy by units called calories. So the first law of thermodynamics states that energy can't be destroyed. It can only be gained, lost, or stored by a system. And our body is actually a system. So we receive energy from the outside by eating food. We burn off calories by converting energy into mechanical and biochemical processes, like moving, like shooting neurons in our brain, like building muscle, pumping blood, raising our body temperature, and more. And whatever energy is left over, meaning that extra energy that we ate but didn't burn off, our body stores as fat or glycogen, which is a type of carb storage. So a change in this energy balance would lead to either weight gain or weight loss. And if we are more or less balanced, meaning we're eating more or less what we're expending, then our weight stays the same. And this doesn't mean that you have to eat the exact same amount every day to maintain your weight. It's kind of more like an average. The same way that you're not going to gain a bunch of weight if you just overeat on 2 days, you're not going to lose off all your weight if you eat less just a few days. And a good analogy is like a bank account. I think this is the easiest way to explain it. If you want to be in a surplus, you have to earn more than you spend. And if you earn less than you expend, then you're going to be in a deficit. Just like our body, if we're in a deficit of energy, that's how we lose weight. So essentially, you have to change your balance. And just like you can change your income sources and you can spend your money more efficiently or more recklessly, the same thing is what you can do with calories. So replacing a slice of bread with gluten-free crackers is kind of like paying your bills with a debit card instead of cash, or vice versa. The net amount that you're paying is still the same, so you're not actually changing your balance. Same thing with calories. If you're just replacing certain types of food with other types of food that have the same amount of calories, you're not going to lose weight just because you made switches. That's not to say that you shouldn't eat healthier, but just so you understand, in terms of actual weight loss, you have to eat less calories in order to lose weight. So if you do make switches, they need to be to switches of foods that have less calories, or else it's not going to make any difference. So how do we create a sufficient energy deficit in order to actually lose weight, burn off body fat? So as I said, we can influence both sides of the equation. So let's start with our energy expenditure, and then we'll talk about how we reduce the calories that we're bringing in. So our total daily energy expenditure is our BMR, basal metabolic rate, NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, exercise activity, and TEF, thermic effect of food. So I'm going to explain every one of those really simply and explain to you how you can actually influence some of these to your advantage so that you can expend more energy. So our basal metabolic rate is how much energy we use at rest, meaning how much energy it takes our body just to exist, just to keep our organs running. Meaning if you were to lay down on the couch and watch Netflix all day without eating, without moving, without doing anything, this is how much your body would burn in an entire day. And this is based mostly on our total body weight. So the more you weigh, the higher your resting metabolic rate. weight, the more calories that your body is going to burn, because you have a total amount of mass which requires energy. And specifically, muscle mass takes more energy than fat mass. So for example, two people who are the same weight, but one person has a higher percentage of muscle mass than the other, they'll burn a little bit more calories than the person who has less muscle mass and a higher percentage of fat mass instead. And the person that at the same weight has more muscle mass is going to look a lot denser and leaner. So the more muscle mass, the higher your metabolism is, and that's basically the only thing you can really do with your BMR to increase your BMR. NEAT is non-exercise activity thermogenesis, and this is basically referring to our general movement throughout the day that's not specifically related to exercise, meaning things like getting up and walking from the chair and doing grocery shopping and running around your kids. So these are things that really change from person to person, and even if two people weigh the same and they exercise the same, the rest of their day they may be burning a very different amount of calories. So someone who's sedentary and who's sitting all day long is going to burn a lot less calories than someone who's on their feet all day, whether it's because of their job, maybe they're a waiter, or maybe they're just running in between meetings. They're going to burn a lot of calories even if they don't exercise. For most people, the non-exercise activity thermogenesis is a lot more substantial in terms of how many calories people are burning than their general exercise. And I'm not talking about elite athletes, obviously, who are burning a lot, but for most people, NEAT is the second biggest part of our daily energy expenditure after our BMR. And your NEAT is something that an online calorie calculator or even your dietitian will have a hard time guessing up front. So it's something that it's okay not to be accurate with when you're trying to calculate your calories, because in any case, as you start to lose weight or if you get stuck, then you adjust your calories accordingly, and it's easier to figure out exactly where your metabolism is after you start tracking calories, after you know more or less how much you're eating and how much weight you're losing. So it's okay if you can't figure out exactly how many calories you're burning from general movement. Nobody can really guess that, we can just estimate. And exercise activity, as you can guess, is how much we burn from direct exercise. And for most people, and I'm not talking about athletes again, or people who are super fit, but I'm talking for the general population who do a few exercises a week, you'd be surprised to find out that you burn a lot less than you probably think. A woman weighing about 120 to 140 pounds will only burn around 120 calories in a mile run, or 150 to 200 calories in a heavy weightlifting session. And most people don't work out every single day, so if you're burning 150 calories only 3 times a week, if you actually even that out throughout the week and get an average, that's about 65 calories a day. That's like half a tablespoon of peanut butter. So you can guess how insignificant the calories burned are from a single bodyweight workout at home. And yes, I'm talking also about those influencer workouts on YouTube that tell you that this is a fat burning workout and will just melt fat off of your thighs and stomach. Most of these actually only burn a few tens of calories. More on that in this video. I'm gonna link below, so don't worry. But that's not to say that workouts are a waste of time. Resistance training will help you build muscle for that leaner look and slightly elevate your metabolism, and cardio is great for your general health. But alone, exercise usually won't really be enough for weight loss. And the last part of the equation is the thermic effect of food, which is how many calories it actually takes to break down the food that we eat. And you can think of it again like a transaction fee at the bank. So different transactions will have different fees. For example, if you get $100, maybe out of those $100, you pay $5 in a transaction fee, and net, you only receive $95. So the same thing with the different macros that you eat. Protein, for example, has a higher thermic effect of food, meaning it takes more energy to break it down than it takes from carbs or fats. But in a balanced diet, this really isn't significant, and it's not something that you should focus on for weight loss. So just to reiterate, the two most significant aspects of your metabolism that you can influence is 1, building more muscle mass, and 2, which is even more significant, is just moving more throughout your day. And now I'm going to talk to you about our energy intake, meaning what we eat and how we can reduce calories from the food that we're eating without feeling very hungry, meaning that we want to get a bigger bang for our buck. We want to reduce calories but still feel satiated motivated and still feel satisfied, not just with feeling full, but also with enjoying foods that we like. And reducing calories from our food is actually a much more measurable way to create a calorie deficit, because as I told you, it's really hard to measure or estimate exactly how much energy we're burning off, but we can measure for sure that we're reducing calories from our intake. So I myself do flexible dieting, which means that I do eat mostly whole foods, but I do incorporate things like ice cream and chocolate and bread and pizza and all these things, but in proportion. And it's something that's easy for me to do when I have a general understanding of calorie density. I know how to incorporate things that are higher in calories while reducing calories elsewhere, and things that are easier to reduce calories, so I can still enjoy foods that I love and maintain my weight. And yes, even in a dieting phase, even when I leaned down to 16% body fat, then I was still eating here and there things that I liked. I was still eating treats like chocolate. I just had to be very mindful of the amount and how many calories I was eating the rest of my day. So losing fat is a lot easier when you have a general understanding of calories. And this doesn't mean that you have to track your calories or you have to be super accurate, but at least know how to generally reduce calories, how to eat less calorie dense foods. You just need to make more efficient choices with your calorie budget, just like you would if you're trying to save money in your bank account. For example, if you're on a tight budget, then you would probably not buy the latest iPhone, and instead you would get a pretty good, decent Google phone, which provides you with the same values with all the things that you need, but you do save a lot of money, and it helps you create that saving in your bank account. So the same thing goes for a calorie budget. You have to be smarter on what you spend it on. So something very dense and small with a ton of calories, it's not really going to be worth it if you can eat bigger meal that has a lot less calories and will be more satiating and will still help you lose weight because it has less calories. If you're trying to lose weight, you can make smart swaps. For example, you could spread low-fat cheese on your toast instead of peanut butter and easily save 100 calories just in that little swap and not actually feel hungrier from that swap, because you're not replacing it with something that's smaller or less satiating. You're just replacing it with something that has less calories. So let's simplify the 3 steps that you should take if you want to start losing weight. First, reduce the most calorie-dense foods in your diet that are really easy to drop. Things like drinking your calories. Don't drink alcohol or fruit juices. Even the sugar-free ones still are very concentrated in natural sugars, meaning the calories in them are pretty high. Mayo, nut butters, oils, and generally just meals out in the restaurant, because restaurants really don't care how lean you want to look or about the weight that you want to lose. They want the food to be really tasty so that you enjoy it, because you're not going to know how much is actually in it. And even if on the menu they give you the calorie estimates, you can be sure that the cook behind the counter is not really counting and measuring exactly how much oil and how much of the sauce he's putting in. It's just a really general estimate, so I wouldn't rely on that as well. That could be off by hundreds of calories, and if you eat out daily, that just adds up and that can take you out of your deficit. Instead, include more foods with higher volume for less calories, things like vegetables and fruits and whole grains that are lighter in calories. Usually it's things with higher fiber and water content. Second step is increasing your NEAT, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, meaning moving more throughout your day. And in my opinion, the most measurable way to do this is simply increase your step count throughout the day. And it's really easy to measure because nowadays we have free pedometer apps, even in the built-in health app on your phone. So if you sit all day and you see that by the end of the day you're only on like 1,000 steps, which is nothing, you know that maybe it's time to go out and take a walk, put a podcast on, call the people that you didn't have any patience to speak to all day. You're taking a walk anyways, so just make use of that time. And step number 3 is something that I wish I got into a lot sooner, but I didn't really know much about this, and it's strength training. So strength training is a great way to build muscle, and muscle will not only slightly increase your metabolism, it'll give you a much leaner look and help you retain more muscle when you're losing weight, because in every weight loss journey, then some of the weight that we lose is going to be from fat, but some of it is also going to be from muscle. And the higher proportion of fat you lose, the leaner that you're going to look. And a good way to make sure that you lose more fat and less muscle is to do resistance training and stimulate your muscles so that we maintain them. And as I said, it also increases your metabolism a little bit, and it's not a ton. It's not like a little bit of muscle is going to burn hundreds of calories a day, but it does burn a little bit more, just enough to give you kind of this extra buffer range to help you maintain your weight in the long run. And yes, you can build muscle at home as well if you provide enough stimulus, enough resistance. For example, you can do exercises that are putting all of your body weight on one leg and making it harder, as long as you're working hard. And it's especially easy to start building muscle if you're a beginner at home without any equipment or with some exercise bands. So obviously I would recommend the most efficient way is to go to the gym and lift some weights, but I know it's not available for everybody and not everyone has time for that. So be sure that even at home you can do a decent resistance training program. And if you want an estimate to how many calories you're even burning in a day, then I have a free guide for you to download below, and it's going to help you with your starting point. I also summarized some of my best tips in there, so be sure to check that out in the link below the video. And if you like this video and it helped you in any way, then hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and hit the notification bell, because I'm going to be uploading a lot more interesting content about weight loss, getting fit, getting stronger, motivation, things that you're really going to enjoy. And if there's anything specific that you didn't understand from this video or that you want to hear in my next video, please write it in the comments below.